So I've prepped my skin with some moisturiser and I'm just applying some tape underneath my eyes. I'm applying it upwards in a diagonal motion so we can get a nice cat-like finish. After I've prepped the lids, I'm going to let it just set and then I'm going to start applying the shadow. So I'm taking the KKW Classic Beauty palette and I'm just going to sweep it all over the lids. I'm taking it up to the socket line and I'm just blending it outwards. This is the lightest colour we're going to use, so that's what's going on first. I'm just intensifying the colour around the socket. And just taking it right the way up to the tape. I'm now taking a larger fluff brush and just making sure everything's really well blended. Taking a smaller brush, I'm then going in with a darker brown colour. This is a Bobby brown colour, and I'm just applying it on the wing of the eye. And again, blending it out. And I just want to keep intensifying that colour until I get a good enough finish and smokiness to the eye. So I'm now taking a highlight colour just with my fingers and applying it into the inside corners of the eye and a little bit below the brows as well. Next I'm taking some liquid liner and I'm just applying it all the way across the lash line, right the way up to the tape. I'm making sure I get right into the corners of the eyes and I'm tapering it out and making it thicker towards the edge. I'm then going to go in and make the flick even thicker. In the look she has, it's quite a defined sort of eye look. So it's really, really important that you keep everything really nice and black and crisp. And make sure you get into all the corners of the eye. To mattify the liner, I'm just taking some MAC carbon pigment and I'm just going over the line. This also helps just smoke it out just a tiny bit and make it look a little bit nicer and a little bit less shiny that sometimes liquid liners can do. And just removing the tape, you can see here you get a nice crisp edge. So I'm taking some of the brown smoky colours and I'm just applying it underneath the lashes. I've applied them in the same order, so lightest to darkest, darkest going nearer the lashes. I'm then applying a gel liner to the inside rim of the eye. I'm taking it all the way into the lashes as well, so you get a nice, really nice, dark, definite under eye. Now I'm just applying some foundation all over the face. I'm just using a buff brush to do this. And I'm being careful of the eye as I'm doing it. I'm using a flat brush to get all the way to the corners of the shadow. I'm then applying a light colour of a contour palette underneath the eye, and right the way up to the corners of the nose. Kim always has a really defined nose, so I'm making sure that I go right the way in to the edges of it. You don't want to take the contour right the way up to the underneath of the eye. I'm also applying some on the forehead and the chin. And I'm just taking down the area of which I've applied it underneath the eye. I'm then taking a beauty blender and I'm just blending it all outwards. I'm being really, really careful of the shadow we've applied. And I'm going to go in with a smaller brush in a minute, and I'm just going to make sure that it's all the way up to the shadow that we applied. So next I'm just applying a little bit of a darker contour colour. I've applied it all over the forehead and at the corner of the eyes as well. I'm also applying some underneath the cheekbones. And again, I'm just blending it all in. Next I've applied some Cover FX Illuminating drops, and I'm just applying it onto a buff brush and just buffing it in to the lighter areas and where sort of the light hits the face. Next I'm using a triangle sponge to apply some light powder underneath the eyes. I'm taking it right the way up to where the tape was and right the way into the corners of the nose as well. Once this is on, I'm just going to leave it to set for a bit and do other bits of my makeup. So I'm just lightly dusting a little bit of powder across the other areas that may need it. And while this is setting, I'm just applying a little bit of powder to the brows. Nothing too dramatic, but I just want them to look nice and defined. I'm then going to take a brow gel and I'm just applying it to the front of the brows as well. You can see here I'm just extending the brow slightly inwards because my brow doesn't have a lot of lightness to the front, so that's just going to create that for me. Next I'm cleaning off the lips and I'm going to start applying the liners and the lipstick. First I'm prepping the lips with a little bit of cream and then on go the liners. So this is nude 1 to start with. I'm defining the lips all the way around the outside edge of that. And I'm then going to apply the lipstick. So I'm applying it just with a bullet, but then I'm also going to use my finger and just blend it outwards. Next I'm taking nude 2, which is a slightly darker shade, and I'm just applying it to the corners of the lips. And this gives your lips a little bit of definition. And I'm then applying some just to the centre bottom of the lip. And just dabbing a tiny bit of gloss on top of that. So next I'm just dusting off all the excess powder. And contouring the nose. I like to use powder to contour the nose, so I just think it looks a little bit more natural. So I'm using a small brush, but I do like to blend it out with my fingers as well. And you can just redefine the area by adding a little bit more of that powder to the edge of the contour. And again, just blending it out. Now I'm just applying some blush onto the cheeks. And following up with some bronzer as well. I'm also taking a little bit of loose illuminating powder and just applying it on to the areas where we applied the liquid illuminator earlier. And a tiny bit on the nose. So I'm finishing the eyes off with some mascara. So Kim has loads of lashes, so we're going to build it up and do a few layers of that. So after building up a few layers of mascara, I'm then just going to apply a false lash. After I've applied a false lash, I'm then going to go on with a dewy setting spray, and I'm going to go back in with my liquid liner and just redefine the inside corners of the eye. And that is a look complete.